Is it on? Good morning. Hi. Welcome to the third day of December 2016. Let's get this day going. I'm just on my way off to my weekend job, driving instructor. Actually, I need to go this way. Yeah, driving instructor can't figure out which way to go. So I wanted to lead off by telling you guys a little thing that happened yesterday that precipitated some interesting thought and a bit of a change in my principles here. So yesterday I was chatting with Jim Mully, my friend back in Japan. We were just chatting back and forth, and ended up on the phone, which ended up on the on Google Plus Hangout because the quality is better. And we're talking, and I had this moment where Jim and I are very friendly, very close, and we have these things. We talk. We're different when we're talking just he and I than when the camera's on, and far more friendly, and far more personal. And anyway, I'm not familiar anymore with all the mechanisms anymore so much. Anyway, I forgot that we were on Google Hangout, and suddenly it dawned on me, oh my gosh, there may be an audience, which I should have known. It was my idea to go to Hangout. No way would I blame Jim for anything. But it's suddenly because I was talking as though it was just Jim and I said some very off-color things, especially related to a Christmas tradition that Jim and I have that I would never want anybody to know about. And there it was, right there, and I asked Jim, so is anybody watching this? And it turned out there were, and he turned it off. But that hit me. I talk about temperance all the time, controlling the emotional reactions as they rise. I didn't do anything, and that was the reaction. That was the end. Jim could tell, it was time to end that hangout. We ended it. We shut it off, and then we went just to private chat, and we had a nice chat, nice catch up. But it had soiled it for me because I knew that I was embarrassed, but I was also humiliated by virtue of what I had said, and really kind of shocked. It's like suddenly you don't see yourself, negative sides of yourself so well until they show up in the light of public. And so I'm going to take actions to make sure that part of me, I can't say that it would go away because it's in there, but at least it has to be suppressed. So anyway, long story short, I was trying to think about all that, and particularly how I could have handled that better. And discretion would have been the best thing. But I thought I was being discreet because I thought it was just the two of us. So it was a mistaken discretion. But maybe even, discretion, things that I would normally not want anyone to how do you do that? Hold on, let me order my coffee. Just a sec.
Hi there, how are you? What can I get started for you today?
Good morning, I'm very well. How are you today?
I'm great. What can I get for you?
A venti-sized extra hot latte, please.
Venti, latte, extra hot. Anything else?
That'll do it.
All right, 525 Asieta. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, I guess I was being discreet. It was just a mistake, and it's like being on a hot mic, right? I should have a little sympathy for Trump in that regard. So, someone left a comment on the video from the day prior about how they were trying to exercise temperance in their life, but it was only going so far, not able to suppress the negative feelings. And I got to experience that firsthand. I haven't had a chance to respond to that question, but that fit nicely with what I experienced yesterday. Hi.
Hi there, 425.
Okay. Because I had I definitely tempered it down. I definitely held it in, but it didn't help. I still had to go through the pain. So I've decided to modify temperance to add a sub-principle there of suffering. And again, these are all first world problems, right? I mean, who am I to talk about suffering?
Would you like your receipt?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Suffering in a relative sense, of course. So what I've done is I've added it there, and I'll get to it when I get to that point. But here I am, 5 minutes in. I better get going. I've also.
Here you go. Have a nice day.
You too. Thank you. Also changed a few other things too. I'll get to that as well. I'll have to remind myself when I get there. Here we go. First, the affirmation of human and civil rights. Human beings have fundamental rights that are recognized by their community. These need to be respected and abided and reviewed. I mean, it could be possible that we have these things wrong sometimes, or they could be improved in some way. So I or try to remind myself to do that. Let's get on now to the 3 objectives. First is the objective of the development and maintenance of good, sound life principles. That's what I do now. This is what this whole exercise is about. 2, the execution of good emotional reactions, being able to control my responses to the internal turmoil. And I'm back to that point that I was making about the thing that happened yesterday. I did that, and but that doesn't mean. And what I got to remember is that that's not the end of it. You can keep a bottle on the. You can put the lid on the glass jar full of hornets, but that doesn't stop the hornets from going crazy inside the jar, trying to sting everything. 2, 3, the performance of good actions, just doing good things per the principles. Let's get on to the principles. There are 14. First is the atomic principle. Everything is made of small little pieces. We're all Lego in a way, and the assemblage of which we're made is want to decompose and fall apart and be reused elsewhere. As Marcus Aurelius describes in the Meditations, nature melts a horse into a dog, and then melts the dog into a man or a woman, and then melts the man or woman into something else, the constituent parts not being harmed in the process. I didn't use the right order of animals, but you get the point. 2, the principle of nature. Everything in the universe has some particular nature. I always pick something out on the way. There's smoke, or steam. Steam has the nature of being hot, buoyant, at least in our atmosphere, ephemeral, here for a little bit, conductive of energy, able to transfer energy and do things. It can be dangerous for organisms that might come in contact, and is able to produce useful work. It's also a transitional form between, or is it one of the forms of water? We have natures too, each of us. I have my nature, you have yours, and it's good to be aware of what our particular nature is and identify the nature of other things and other people, as well as the nature of concepts and mechanisms, like governments, rules. It dovetails into the spirit and the letter of the law. Lots of stuff there. Nature also has the sub-principles of paradigm and firmware. Paradigm indicates is a combination of both a perspective and a way of doing the way things are done. I like to use the term a modus operandi, a mechanism, a vehicle of exercise. A mechanism. Let me find something concrete on that. So, for example, I have a perspective on the world born of my 52 or 53 years of life, the fact that I'm a male, the fact that I'm Caucasian, born and raised in Southern California, experienced in living in Japan, married to a Japanese woman. I'm a father. All of these, and I have my college degrees, and all of these things combined give me my perspective on the world. My operating system is exactly this: the good life. when I combine the operating system with the perspective, I have my paradigm. And we all have our own paradigm, and it's heavily informed by our culture and upbringing. And it's good to keep that in mind when dealing with other people, because for the most part, most of us are trying to be good, but we're trying to be good, exercising good through different tools, different paradigms, and it's good to keep that in mind, because they maybe you and me and someone else from another culture may be aiming towards the same end of virtue, but just in different ways. And it's not necessarily that they're inherently bad just because they're doing it differently. Likewise, cultures have paradigms, language groups have paradigms, religious groups have paradigms. The next one is a firmware there. Firmware is in computer systems, the boot up instructions that come with the system. They're hard-coded into it, essentially, and that tell a computer how to start up and get its basic operation going. Likewise, you and I have some firmware in there that reminds us, compels us to things like companionship, reproduction, child rearing. All these different things are a part of are instructive of our firmware. Get that right. Next is the principle of maturity, which has two subcomponents of wisdom and fortitude. Maturity, of course, is the quality and character of being experienced and being able to utilize that experience towards a better life, making better decisions. Like, it wasn't very mature of me yesterday to say the things that I did in any context. In any context, I shouldn't. That type of humor should be off the table, off limits. Yet I wasn't mature enough to realize that. Yet now I've had the experience of what came of realizing that suddenly that stuff was out front and center, that will inform my worldview, such that I will change my way of doing things and I will behave in a more mature manner. So you see how that iterative, incremental process of experience builds our maturity in that capacity. Another way to get there is through fortitude, having the discipline to be able to weather the difficult things in order to keep on towards a good end. That's an easier approach for a young person to attain maturity, because it doesn't require the trial and effort. It just requires to be trained to be able to suffer through the difficult stuff and keep at your aim, which is what a lot of maturity is. The powerhouse comes, the 1-2 comes when you have both wisdom and fortitude. Then life becomes a much easier proposition. Whew, that's what I should probably do, is keep in mind that things like yesterday inform my maturity. Next is the social principle. Human beings are social animals. We need one another to survive. I think I added something. Was it here? No, it wasn't. And our best ends are social ends, and so we create a very refined sort of virtue when we behave in a social manner. Moving on now to temperance. Here's where I added something. Temperance, and in parentheses, the sub-principle of suffering. Temperance, as I mentioned before, is the ability to restrain ourselves with consumption, both things like food and drink, but also activities, work and play, and also our consumption, our responses to emotions, love and hate. To be able to nibble away at all of those things and call a little bit enough, and let that color our world, and respond in moderation, preserving resources and conserving our I almost want to use the word dignity. That's too little, sounds a little too self-indulgent, but it's there too. Conserving our equanimity. Is that it? No, it's not quite right too. Conserving our balance. Yeah, I like that word, balance, which also contributes to equanimity and dignity. Although dignity has a ring to it that just personally doesn't fit me so well. It doesn't sit so well, but it's probably the right thing. And then the suffering is a reminder to myself that just by executing temperance with our emotions or with any of these things, it doesn't mean we're not going to suffer. We're going to suffer when we want that extra slice of of pizza, or a big scoop of ice cream, or another bottle of beer on the wall. Or we don't want to go home, but we want to stay and play a little bit longer. Or we're exercising temperance with regard to how to responding in a mature manner to a difficult situation, but that doesn't make the suffering any less. Now, there's no good solution to that suffering, and in fact, it may be necessary just as a means to the end of maturity. So there it is. Next is after that is the agency and indifference. Agents are anything that's alive. Plants are agents. Humans are agents. Dogs and cats are agents. Cockroaches are agents. There's crows flying up there and a murder over the sky. They are agents too. And the things that they create are the artifacts of agency. That freeway back there, this car, this jacket, all these things are the artifacts of agency. Take all that away and you're left with the indifference that permeates the universe. The evidence of apparently no agent behind the scenes, although we sure like to attribute that, and therein lies the rub. You know, if we have to learn to suffer through the fact that tolerate and exercise temperance with regard to our concern and worry, given that the universe appears to have no governing agent, no God, and carry on. But if we do ascribe a God to it, watch out, because that gives us free license to do a lot of dangerous and terrible things, as well as some things that appear beautiful on the outside, such as the societies that church groups and religious groups create, and the brotherhood and sisterhood, and the communities and the music and all that stuff. So there's a lot of good trappings on there, but a lot of negative baggage comes of that in the form of dogma and prescribed lifestyle for no better reason than God say so. Watch out for that. Next is the best seat in the house, right here, right now, being content with where I am, actually being all right and enjoying where I am, to not want to be anyone else, do anything else, or be doing or anything else. Just to be all right with where I am, while all the while working towards making it better. For example, I'm going to my second job. I have a lot of students today. I've got 4 students today. I'll be working maybe 12 hours today straight. And this is in addition to my main job. So, you know, I'm trying to pay off all the debt of coming to America. And I would much rather be going Christmas shopping and buy a Christmas tree with my family today, or something like that. And my wife's working too. She's working Saturday too. We're both working hard to get our family back on our feet here in America. But instead of bewailing the fact, I'm simply content with where I am, and moving towards a point where I won't have to do this anymore, all the while enjoying the moments along the way. It sounds pedestrian and simplistic as I just said it, but it's an important aim. Next is reason, the governing faculty, the ability to look at the facts of the world, to construct arguments, to look at the results, to see if the results match our arguments, the predictions of our arguments, and if not, then adjust. If so, then hold it to it cautiously and continue evaluating and check with others to see if they see the same thing. It's the best way to come to believe as many true things as possible, and to not believe false things. Next is purpose, or which for me is virtue. Purpose in life. Given that there appears to be no God, that the only purpose of this life seems to be to propagate into the next generation, to get our genes into the next generation, particularly our mitochondrial genes. If that's the case, then what's the purpose of life otherwise? Well, if there is none, then it's up to us to build the purpose, to design our lives accordingly, so that we have some good meaning. We're making good use of our time and not just living day to day, taking up space while our coffin is being built. So for me, that purpose is virtue, which I define as the wholesale improvement of well-being for ourselves, our species, and the community of life on Earth. Next is, after virtue, is the path of wildness, which is a trick that I use to get myself unstuck from life. It's really useful when I don't know what to do and my anxiety has overtaken me. I simply assemble the facts that I know. I figure out how much time I've got to digest those facts. And when that time is expired, I then make a decision largely informed of my gut. If I can't come up with a good objective reason otherwise, and I just go for it, fully ready to make a mistake and fall off a cliff. But recognizing the fact that the effect of motion alone, of jarring ourselves from out of a rut, jarring ourselves out of a hole, is a very virtuous thing indeed, rather than staying stuck in a hole all day. That comes later when I get to the sin and damnation, which I'll talk to. That's a new principle. This is a modified principle. So next is the risk of avoiding risk. A lot of times we assess the risks in our lives relative to what we want to do with our lives, and we make choices to avoid those risks by doing something otherwise. What I want to ask is, what risk are you taking on in avoiding that risk? It's looking a level deeper, because there's a very real danger in not following your nature for fear of the consequences, but which in turn open up a dangerous vessel of far deeper consequences that can destroy us, truly destroy you, turn us into monsters. So next, the next one is, this is the new one, I think, right here, right? This is or the changed one. So this would be sin and damnation. So this thing I talked about with the risk of avoiding risk, that is most evident when we don't follow our nature, when we don't live according to our nature. Now, of course, we have to live within the parameters of law and being social beings. So if our nature is to prey on small children, then you better not follow your nature. But if on the whole, I'm talking about things that are on the up and up and legal. If for example, you want to be an artist, or you want to work in the computer industry, or not work in the computer industry, or you want to be a fashion designer, or anything at all. And I know we can't all be fashion designers, so it all levels out, right? But for the most part, the compromises will be made. We can't have that perfect world, but maybe the arrival of AI will let us all be fashion designers. I was telling my daughter yesterday, I said, choose a career where you can make beautiful things or show compassion, because those are the two things computers can't do very well and aren't likely to do very well. Beauty and compassion. A computer can't hold your hand, not yet. Although maybe the Japanese will figure that one out. So anyway, get on with it. So this sin is not living according to your nature, and the resulting damnation is what comes of that. And that damnation, unlike dogmatic religious damnation, is not forever. It's not a hell. It dies with you. Your damnation dies with you. So, but you can live a life of damnation by virtue of the sin of not living according to your nature. Almost done here. Last one is the willful time management. Did I forget something? I don't think so. Willful time management, making ordered use of my time through the day. And I'll get onto that right now. Today's thought plan to collect my thoughts before breakfast, compose them during lunch. Won't have a chance to do that today. I'm working them through lunch. Upload them or share them before dinner, and then die before bedtime. And now finally on to today's action plan. I'm going to work hard, be diligent with my students. I love this job. Even when my needs are met, I still want to do it. I really like working with teenagers, helping them become safe, responsible drivers. And I'm going to maintain my principles and keep things together. I'm getting my off ramp, so I got to finish up, and be the best guy I possibly can. And then today, rotten day forecast. My daughter's going to die. I'm going to die. My car's going to die. My job's going to die. Everything's going to break down. I'm going to lose all my money again. And my coffee's going to be cold. And it's all going to suck. It can only get better from there. And now today's, wow, it's 24 minutes. The human hashtags. Let's see if I can remember what these are. Objective, hashtag honest, hashtag indifferent, hashtag discreet with double E, hashtag temperate, hashtag just. I think I got them there. So there we go. And those are the principles that I touch, and the reason I put those as hashtags is imagine they're like applying them like a piece of media. They describe the character of it. These are the hashtags that I'm applying on my life today, and I can change them from day to day. I'm going to build up a whole bunch of them, and this is how I want to remind me when I have difficult moments. I don't have to turn to the principles, which are broad and deep, but turn to the hashtags, which are in reminders. I want to make them more action-oriented, more like verbs. I need to change them so they read like verbs, action-oriented. You know, when I'm having a moment of challenge, just close my eyes for a second if I'm not driving, and remember the hashtags. To remember temperance, be objective, be indifferent. Not indifferent in an inhuman sense, but indifferent in a reminding myself only of the things, to focus on the things that I can control my reaction to. I can control, which is just mostly my reaction to the world. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you for watching. Have a good day and a great life. A good life. Take care. Bye-bye.